All right. Let me admit people. Are you ready, guys?
Yes, let's do
Yes.
it.
All right. Let's go. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. Very, very nice to have you. We're just gonna have a few minutes or a few seconds actually, to let people join the call. So we're all in here. Very, very happy to see you all. And this is gonna be a very exciting call. So I'm just gonna give a few more seconds for everybody to join and we kick it off.
La standing ovation. L'hai sentita? Sì, male.
Hello, hello. Yes, please try to mute yourself. We will have time for questions, but just for the purpose of the beginning of the presentation, please mute yourselves, and we take questions as we go from the chat. So, okay. I wait a bit more. I see more and more people are joining. Hello, hello. Okay, so while we wait for people to join, let me explain how the translation works. So we have live translation feature. All you have to do for the session is, as you see on my screen, go on the globe icon button at the bottom of the Zoom screen and click on interpretation. And then you can select your language, Spanish, Italian, any language, and you should be able to hear us and understand us in your own language. So please try that. And we can start in a few seconds. I see more people are joining. Hello, hello. I see the chat is active. Okay, so I see we're 2 minutes past, so let's start. For those of you who didn't hear the beginning, please, for language translation, click on the globe icon at the end of at the bottom of your Zoom screen. It says interpretation, and then you can hear us in your language. So let's start. We're 2 minutes or 3 past. So tonight, actually, we are going to speak about our daily rituals, and we're going to unravel the secrets beyond them. How they work, why do they work, what are they used for, and we're gonna talk about science and cover some of the ingredients in there so you can really have a taste of what happens behind the scenes and why this product is fantastic. So, today on the call, I will be hosting it. As you can see, my name is Filena Lazarova, and maybe you saw me in the first call when we introduced the nutrition experts. But for those of you who didn't, I'm a nutrition scientist who specializes in nutritional epidemiology and really translating science, making sense of it, and applying it into practical solutions for improved health. So all of these beautiful products that you see here for personalized nutrition is what we scientists try to do. We try to unravel that science, make sense of it so you can see it materialized in something great that works for improving your health. And as a guest speaker, I have the lovely Dr. Daniela Morandi with me tonight, who is going to speak about the science with me and what is behind our daily rituals. So Daniela, please feel free to introduce yourself also for those of our audience who were not present in the first call.
With pleasure, Vilena. Nice to see you and nice to see everybody. I am Daniela Morandi. I work as a nutritionist since 25 years. I'm also a naturopath and I'm a researcher in the let's say, nutritional field and functional food. I'm also a life and business coach, and my mission would like to be to make people understand how food is important and how powerful it might be if taken in a right and proper way. So very happy to be here with you, Svilena.
Thank you again for coming, Daniela, and for supporting me. You have great experience, and I'm super happy to have you. So let's start and let's kick in our daily rituals. Just to explain how this will work, Daniela and I will be going through, explaining the daily rituals, as I say, how they work, what's behind them. We're gonna dip into the science behind them as well. At the same time, I would try to have a look at the chat. So if you have any questions, please try to put them in there in English so I can understand you. And we can respond to them live in between the slides. We will do our best. So let's start with the daily rituals. So what's the daily rituals? What are they about? And why should you choose them? Our daily rituals are really a combination not only of vitamins and minerals, but also a lot of plant extracts and a lot of beautiful ingredients that really come together in terms of providing you the best nutrition, the best personalized nutrition to suit your goals, your health needs. So they're really tailored to what you desire in terms of improving your health goals, in terms of improving your health needs. Any deficits that you might have or anything that you just want to upgrade on or feel better with, daily rituals are your definitely to go to personalized nutrition solution. And by doing so, they eliminate all of this guesswork, wondering what products to choose, which vitamins, which single nutrients. We have all of that combined in those personalized daily rituals, so they can provide you with everything at the same time that specifically suits your needs. They're also very, very high quality, meaning that we really formulated by using premium ingredients, no unnecessary additives, so ensuring really pure quality. And please remember, with these type of personalized nutrition solutions, consistency is key. These target your long-term health goals. So as we always say, you have to use them for a long period of time. Obviously, you can start feeling some effects in the beginning, or it's different for everybody, but with the daily rituals and with this type of supplementations that really target your health goals, consistency is key, taking them daily and ensuring that this cumulative effect that really targets your deficits or your needs, so that in time, at least for 3 and above months, you can start feeling a really, really great effect and a real improvement. How do they work? If you have already gone to the Simon Ourian MD website, you will see that we have a beautiful survey that you can complete and assess what your health goals are, what your needs are. There is a beautiful survey that is AI generated, so it means that we're using really the best AI technology for you, suited for you, to provide you personalized solutions by asking you questions about your health status. It will ask you about your primary health goals, what you really want to target. Is it energy? Is it bones? Is it immunity, etc.? And then it will ask you a few general questions about hydration, sport, etc., just to have a general feeling of really your health status and a taste of that, so then it can give you the best personalized solution suited specifically for your needs, not for everybody, but for your needs. So going through that survey, you can complete it, you can see what it generates, and then what you end up with is your capsules that are specifically designed for your needs, as I said. And these we recommend should be taken 2 capsules per day, delivered directly to your door every 90 days, so that you ensure, as I said, long-term health benefits and that a cumulative effect on health, so that you can fill in those deficits and you can really, really feel the difference in between when you start it and progressively using the daily rituals. So as you can see on the right-hand side of the slide, we have provided you with the main concerns, as we call them, or benefit territories that the survey is going to ask you about. And what this session today is not only about understanding daily rituals in general, but also understanding how they work and what is behind them. How do the ingredients inside make sure, and without those combinations, address your needs? So we are going to go with Dr. Daniela Morandi through all of them and give you a taste of 2 ingredients for each of these benefit territories, explain the science behind, and have fun with science, because it's complicated, but it's also fun, and you can really understand why the daily rituals are so special. So moving on to our ingredients, which will be the focus of the rest of the call. As I said, daily rituals are really incorporating a lot of vitamins, minerals, and really fantastic plant extracts to make a difference from standard supplements that give you only single nutrients, or that you cannot really understand what you should choose from. So here on the slide, you can see a long list of them, which actually does not incorporate all of them. We have more, but for the purpose of the presentation, as I said, Dr. Daniela Morandi and I will focus on 2 of each of the ingredients or nutrients that we have, plant extracts, in the formulas in your daily rituals, and target each benefit area, provide you with science behind that. And please, as we go through, I will also try to monitor the chat, see if you have any interesting questions there, try to answer them at the end of the slides. And also remember that science is complicated, so although we're trying to simplify it today, these ingredients, although each one of them has their own specific benefits, does not have only one specific benefit. Some of them, if not most of them, have many benefits. So for the purpose of the PowerPoint today, we have simplified it for you, and we will focus on their primary benefits, as I explained, by focus area. But please keep in mind that science is much more complicated, and not all of the ingredients you will see have one benefit. They have more, and Dr. Daniela Morandi, I'm sure, will agree with me. It's much more complicated, but we're simplifying it and giving you a taste of how they support each benefit territory. So let's get into it. We will start with energy. So as I said, we covered the 8 concerns that you will see in that survey on our website that you have to complete to see your results and see what your personalized solution is. So we start with energy. Let's get into that. I forward it to you, Dr. Daniela Morandi. We start with the B vitamins, and her and I will really, discuss their benefits. We'll go through each ingredient together and give you the best taste of their benefits.
Great. So let's go with the big family of vitamin B. And the vitamin B group are really, really important for the energy yielding metabolism. And that means that they help to produce energy, breaking down the macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fat. Many studies have shown that the deficiency in B vitamins is the cause of fatigue and tiredness. That's why it is so important for when we talk about energy. And also many B vitamins support the nervous system, and that's also a very, very important point. And especially something more that I would like to add, that especially niacin, the B1, is crucial for the process that allows to extract energy from carbohydrates. So it is very important to have this B vitamin group.
Yes, absolutely. And when it comes to B vitamins, if I can complement and emphasize on what you're saying, Daniela, is really, although they all say, energy yielding metabolism, they all support the same function, they also differ in between what each one of them gives as a secondary function or the way they work. As I said, science is always complicated. So here we take them together, but they all differently have separate benefits and additional benefits. And that's where it gets a bit more complicated. It could be macronutrient metabolism, it could be fatigue, but yeah, in general, they're great. And I'm sure the audience has heard of B vitamin complex, and you know, it's something that has been there for a long time. So very effective, really. And this is something we use in our formulations, and I think the audience will see across their benefit territories. B vitamins are just something very, very essential. So don't be surprised if you see them in your personalized solutions.
Yeah, also because they also create a big synergy together.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It's a family. It's a family.
Oh yeah, it gets even more complicated when you combine them. So. But the important thing is that they have the additive effect. So when you combine them, then you have a more pronounced, let's say, effect.
Absolutely.
Great. So then when we talk about energy, green tea, why did we select actually to talk about green tea? I'm sure that some of you have already used it primarily in tea and maybe taking it at night or during the day. However, green tea is very interesting. It doesn't have, as I mentioned, one benefit, but in terms of energy, how does it work? The two main components in green tea, caffeine and catechins, these are fantastic components that stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. And this is the branch of the nervous system that is responsible for this flight mode that gets you, activated and ready to respond to any environment reactions that you have or you encounter. It's what makes you ready to act and go in action, let's say, to simplify. And what they actually also do is they target two parts of energy expenditure. One is thermogenesis and another one is fat oxidation. So to put it in simple terms, these are two parts of energy expenditure. Energy expenditure is the energy we expend, that we spend throughout the day, doing everything that we do, whether it's sports or we're just resting, we constantly expend energy. And what the main components of green tea are doing is they have an effect on these primary components of the way we expend energy, so that they fuel the fat oxidation. It means, the burning of fat, and also thermogenesis, in other words, producing heat. Also, its other ingredient, L-theanine, at the same time, what it does is it brings about a very gradual effect on energy, which differentiates, taking green tea, for example, as compared to coffee. If you take a cup of espresso, you will have an immediate boost of energy and maybe nervousness, the urge to do something. With green tea, because it's a combination of so many beautiful ingredients, it brings about energy, but it does so in a slower manner so that it supports you throughout the day, and that's why it's included in the daily capsules. But it does it in a slow, gradual manner so that you have that effect throughout the day, and it avoids that feeling of nervousness, let's say, as compared to consuming only caffeine.
And if I can add something that I found really interesting in green tea, is that some of the components help to regulate the blood glucose level in the body. And of course, this gives a lot of stable energy throughout the day. That's really interesting.
It's amazing.
Another characteristics of green tea. Unbelievable, really.
It's really amazing. I see that in the chat we have a question on beauty. So we have a question on vitamin B and biotin, if they affect acne. We have a section later on in the presentation on beauty, so maybe we can mention something there. But please bear with us. We will go there. I think beauty is a big topic. Beauty is holistic nutrition, so in principle, anything can help beauty, but let's get into there, and we try to tackle it in there. So let's move on to immunity, and we tackle again 2 ingredients for the purpose of the call. Of course, we can tackle many more, but we will be taking a lot more of your time. So Dr. Daniela, would you like to take turmeric, and then I dive into cayenne pepper and why they're great for immunity?
With pleasure. Turmeric is belongs to the same family of ginger, and it comes from the rhizoma, that is the underground stems of the plant, that is called curcuma longa in Latin. It has a very strong anti-inflammatory action. Seems like it really inhibits the cytokines, the pro-inflammatory cytokines, but also it is an antioxidant, so it protects from free radical damage, and also antibacterial, so a great support for the immune system. Turmeric intake helps to, let's say, maintain an effective immune system, and it preserves us from infections, and it is also active on joints, probably due to the anti-inflammatory.
Absolutely. I was going to say that. Absolutely.
And besides, it enhances the antibody response. And this is a great support for immunity and the capacity of the body to fight specific pathogens. So it's unbelievable, really. I love turmeric.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many, I think that's true for, all of these beautiful extracts or, things that come from plants or roots normally have this really, really strong antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and so on. It's always kind of coming together, and it has a lot of functions that make sense in terms of how our system and our body works. But it's always in groups, and as you mentioned, Daniela, it's always about if it tackles inflammation, then of course joints are something that often you can have a problem of inflammation in there, and then you have lots of conditions and problems with joints, and that's why they target it. And many people think it's bones. No, it's really their anti-inflammatory action. It's great how they target so many things at the same time. The same is true for cayenne pepper. As I said, you will find it in many ingredients that have anti-inflammatory properties or antioxidant properties. These are just fantastic in general in your diet, or as a supplement, or as both. These are just fantastic exactly because of the reasons that Dr. Daniela mentioned. For cayenne pepper, again, same antioxidant properties, because it has vitamins A and C in there. So if you have an extract from cayenne pepper, then of course you will find some vitamins and so on in there. It's not just an extract, it has living properties in there. And just like turmeric, these antioxidant properties will contribute to the normal functioning of the immune system. They will also have anti-inflammatory properties. Why? Because they're also rich in phytochemicals. In particular, cayenne pepper is rich in capsaicin, and this is what makes it fantastic. Even if you Google it, you will find so much information about it. What is also great is that when we talk about anti-inflammatory properties, we don't only talk about joints, we talk about the gut, we talk about microbiota. It is just all very entangled, which is difficult to understand. And believe me, scientists are still trying to entangle it. But for the purpose, of understanding their properties, they have really fantastic antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. They target joints, then target the gut microbiota, because they help on, composition, abundance, function of the gut microbiota. The immune system and the gut are extremely well interchanged and interrelated in terms of their properties and how they work. And I think, Daniela, you know, from emerging science, this is really a hot topic, and it's always been gut-brain axis or gut and immunity. It's all in there. It's very difficult to unravel, but we know that these ingredients are great for all of these functions. That's what we know. Maybe we don't understand the mechanisms and everything super well, but we know that they're great for all of these.
Yeah, and there is also a recent study that found out that capsaicin especially has the property to support white blood cells production, especially in natural killers. And that's amazing because
my
they're really
goodness.
active in, found destroying and identify the pathogens. So really powerful, incredible. And we don't know yet all. So
No, we never. That's the thing. They expect us to know all, but science is, ever evolving, which is exciting. That's the exciting thing about it. I see a few questions in the chat, so I will make a short break. So I have a question on breastfeeding and ashwagandha. Okay, so we are not on ashwagandha yet, but any questions related to breastfeeding and pregnancy? I know it's a hot topic, and supplementation is always recommended, if almost always, depending on your case, for these cases. But please, when it comes to breastfeeding and pregnancy, always consult with your doctor first. They will be able to really give you the best picture of your health status. Everybody is different, and there is no, unfortunately, one size fits all type of approach. So please, anything related to breastfeeding and pregnancy, you consult it and make sure that you don't have any allergic reactions, that you can tolerate it, that everything else that will be prescribed to you during those stages to support you will not overlap with any other supplements that maybe you choose on the side. So always, please be careful with that. Then I also see a question on taking more than 2 capsules per day. Okay, for acute inflammation. So we recommend 2 capsules per day. The reason is that the combination of ingredients that we're choosing and the amounts already in there are well designed to support you in long term. Remember, again, we're talking about long-term health. It depends on individual needs and on your status, on your health status. Different people see results in different timelines, so it's not always the same. Don't try to compare, but remember that consistency is key, and please take your 2 capsules per day as indicated, and see what happens in the long term. There will definitely be a change based on your benefit area, of course. But yes, please, to answer that question, stick to your 2 capsules. They're already, as I said, providing you with lots of ingredients and making sure that you target your 3 main benefit areas. So, science is great, but keep in mind that these formulations also have to make sense in terms of what we put inside to target these 3 benefit areas at the same time. So stick to that regime. I think it makes a lot of sense. Then we are moving on to mood. I think that's a very interesting topic. It's always been. And I let you, Daniela, start with the lion's mane. Very interesting ingredient.
Oh yeah, lion's mane is unbelievable. It's to tell the truth, it's an edible therapeutic mushroom, and it was already well known in mycotherapy because it is antioxidant and also antimicrobial. But recently, they found out the action on neuroprotective and also in cognition and enhancing properties. Different studies found out that obviously following a long-term supplementation, as you said, Milena, there's a reduction in also anxiety and depression that is probably due to its effect on neuronal function. I found also out that this unbelievable mushroom has a great can modulate the action of serotonin and dopamine, and this is are directly connected with their mood control and also well-being feelings. So they are it is really really a big properties. And also it promotes a protein a little bit difficult. It is BDNF, and that has the power to protect the existing neurons and also enhance the growth of new neurons and brain synapses. So I think we all should need
It's a lot,
some
yeah.
lion mane. All of us.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's lots of mechanisms going in there. Lots of possible pathways to improving neurocognition and these neuroprotective properties that you were speaking about, Daniela. It's really super interesting to read about these mechanisms. Maybe for our audience, this is a step too far in science, but this is what for me and Dr. Morandi is super exciting, and how we explain these properties. So yeah, it's fantastic, really.
Yeah.
It's lion's mane is something emerging, and that's what we also focus on in the daily rituals. As I said, it's not something traditional and basing science only on things that were there 10 or 15 years ago. We are really dipping into emerging science and really the latest type of technologies, mechanisms. We follow science and evidence, and we try to implement it, of course, to the best of our knowledge in these dailies, and that's why they're great. So rhodiola, I would just emphasize it has similar properties to lion's mane. That's why it's another ingredient we chose to support mood. It has a long history of traditional medicine in different countries, people trying to figure out what is it best for and so on. What we know nowadays is that it helps stimulate the nervous system. It treats fatigue, depression, a bit like lion's mane. It enhances the work productivity by exactly targeting fatigue, anxiety, depressive symptoms. It really works through those neuroprotective properties to give you that final end effect on mood. And in terms of rhodiola, these beneficial properties are really thanks to its adaptogenic nature. And what does that mean? It means that it helps, the word adaptogenic comes from adaptation. So it means that it really is helping you to adapt to stress, fatigue, mood fluctuations. So I think that's a very straightforward one. And you will see with other ingredients, sometimes they're called adaptogenic. And this is why they really help bodies adapt to stress, anxiety, really target those cognitive, let's say, properties that could be sometimes affected by our environment or, stress and so on. So these two, I think, are really fantastic. And there's more and more research coming out on learning more and more, but we know that they already support very well these properties.
Yes, and also, Svilena, if I can add something,
Of course.
connecting with the last thing you said, it acts directly on the cortisol levels and
Of stress, yes, and cortisol.
Yes, and it's
yes.
The action of rhodiola is fantastic, because if you have too much cortisol when you are under acute stress, it slows down. And if you are depleted of cortisol because you are in a chronic stress, it raises it. So
Yes.
it's amazing the action that can have, and all the support that is connected. Also, if you have high cortisol, you have low immune system. So it's all,
Oh, yeah.
it's all linked.
Of course, it's always all interconnected and very complicated, but yes, absolutely.
Exciting.
Cortisol is your stress hormone for those of you who are maybe not so familiar. And I've also heard that rhodiola is now being really tackled in some studies on physical performance and so on, because as we know, when we perform physical activities, we are kind of stressing the body. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but you know, you're ready for action, you're there, you're exhausting your energy, and that produces some cortisol levels there. So rhodiola, because of these properties that we're mentioning here, is also super interestingly now studied in that aspect too. It's as I said, these ingredients have really multiple benefits. Although we're trying to simplify it, they're great really they may have one primary really well-studied action that we use them for, but they're all complementing one another, I think, very well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move to the next one. We have weight control. That's always super interesting for the audience.
That's a very hot topic.
Always, always.
Okay, we go through chromium. Well, chromium is an essential trace mineral, and it's really well known for the action on hormone insulin, especially on insulin production, that we know it might be a problem if it is not under control. I mean, insulin is vital. It's terrible if we don't produce insulin, but if it is too high or too low, it's not good for us. And also chromium is great for the metabolism of all the macronutrients. So again, protein, carbs, and fats. And also because of the action on insulin levels, the chromium has the power to keep the glucose level stable. So that's important when we talk about weight control, because that means that we don't have, nervous hunger or craving, for example, usually it's carb craving or sugar craving. And also the chromium has a very good action on appetite control, because that's something very interesting. It acts directly on the hypothalamus, that is the brain part, the brain region that regulates appetite and satiety. And so we name weight loss in this way, and also we have a better body composition, because we get rid of fat mass, and we preserve the lean mass. So very, very interesting. Chromium is I think one of the most important ingredient when we talk about weight loss.
Yes, absolutely. It has so many mechanisms, as you mentioned, through which it exerts its effect, and everything is, as always, interlinked. So when we talk about insulin sensitivity, production, and so on, it's always linked to appetite. It's it's all in there. And as Dr. Daniela mentioned, it just targets everything at the same time. It's just science. It's how it works, the wonders. But yeah, chromium is one thing you will definitely encounter if you select weight loss or weight control in your survey. But again, keep in mind that these all of the ingredients have to be put in combinations that also make sense. So these are examples of what you can see as a result of the ingredients we're suggesting when you get the survey for your personalized daily rituals, but they are not an exhaustive list. So just keep that in mind for the audience. So okay, L-carnitine, also great for weight control. What is L-carnitine? It's a chemical compound which is usually supplemented through the diet, as we're doing with our daily rituals. It's also synthesized by the body, but I think L-carnitine is something, or carnitine as people know it, is something very much used in fitness or weight loss. I think that's something maybe the audience is more familiar with. It has very well known and studied effects on lipid metabolism. because it helps transport those long-chain fatty acids into the mitochondria, and that's, you know, the unit in our body, in our cells, that really produces energy, that is responsible for utilizing the nutrients that we get from our diet into producing energy, so that it can be, yeah, what I said, oxidized to produce energy. So oxidized is that fancy word to say, you know, in a way, you know, used up by the body to produce energy. So L-carnitine enhances that process and helps it further, let's say, for a boosted effect. Yeah, it's, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's known to be used with weight management programs, and the results are really, really great when we talk about weight loss and reduction of fat mass, as you mentioned, Daniela, with chromium. We are also always targeting body composition. So for the audience, body composition is what our body is made up. So it can be made up of a couple of things, but here we're referring to the ratio between fat mass and lean mass. So, you know, your muscle mass, let's say it in simple terms, and the fat composition or extent of fat that you have and you would like to get rid of. So this is really another ingredient that targets it and makes sure that more fat is used and utilized, so that you increase your lean mass, so the percentage of muscle mass that you have compared to fat mass.
Yeah, and it is also well known between the active people, like sports people.
Absolutely.
Because of that. So it many years ago, L-carnitine became famous between the football players.
Yes.
And then the research study, starts, and they put the molecule inside the weight loss programs. So it's a very, very useful and very still really actual, the use of L-carnitine.
Yes, and as I mentioned at the beginning, the daily rituals are a combination of things we really know work well. Of course, I mean, you cannot deny that some of these ingredients are just perfect. They may be known for some time, but they're perfect for what they do. But we also combine things that are more from emerging science and evidence, like chromium. You would not see chromium in all of these, you know, sports supplements or weight loss programs. It's something add-on that we provide for a more enhanced effect. Okay, I see there's a couple of questions in the chat. Let me see if they are related to what we are on. So, okay, there's a bit on immunity. Let me try to select something that we are able to tackle in terms of what we covered so far. Okay, bear with me. Okay, I see people are finding it helpful. Great. Okay, so I have a question. Can I also have the capsules put together from each category? Or would that be too much? Well, if the question is if you can put, you know, 8 concerns areas together and have, yeah, like all of the benefits and have them, then I mean, you would end up with a multivitamin. I think that's kind of, but without really those fantastic plant extracts, or I think that's what modern kind of multivitamins try to do. But with the daily rituals, it's our approach is different. We offer you to target those areas that you feel are the most important, because if you try to target all of them, then you know it takes away the beauty of combining these ingredients, and they also have to work together to provide you you know, with the best optimal results. Some ingredients, and Dr. Daniela will support me here, are they work in synergy, others not really. So, you know, it's, as I said, science is not simple. So I wouldn't think about personalized nutrition in a way of targeting everything at the same time. It's all about holistic nutrition. You can, of course, focus on daily rituals to support you, but we also talk about diet. We talk about many other things in your environment that support all of it. I think that's the beauty here. Okay,
Yeah.
so I will try to take more of your questions as we go. I don't see anything specifically on weight loss or on immunity, so I move forward, but please continue to put your questions in the chat, and I try to answer as we go. So now we move to sleep. That's another interesting topic, always very, very interesting to talk about.
Oh, wow. Chamomile. Chamomile is well, is a very famous herb that we can find in many different teas, for example. It has many medicinal properties, and usually it is used to treat insomnia and also calming effect. But there's something very interesting in chamomile. Chamomile has the ability to bind to benzodiazepine and GABA receptors. And this is something interesting because it is involved in the sleep-wake cycles. And this allows chamomile to improve our quality of sleep, and especially when we have the delay in falling asleep or when we wake up a lot of time during the night. So it's very interesting. And there's something particular about chamomile. It also has adaptogenic effect. And this is very interesting because, again, like we saw before, it helps to, manage the stress response. So we shouldn't expect it from chamomile, but it has also this property that's really unbelievable.
As always, everything comes with more properties. Honestly, chamomile, when I didn't really for sleep, in my personal experience, it was very difficult for me to choose. At one stage in my life, I wanted to choose something for sleep. And then you get so much information, but it's difficult to choose from ingredients. And chamomile was something that I have only heard, in tea. That was years ago, and I wasn't ever interested in sleep. But indeed, whether it's through tea or through supplementation or anything, it really has that. I'm sure that the audience has tried it in one way or another and really felt this calming effect. It's very, very effective. I think people have felt it. Please let us know in the chat, actually, if you have any experience. I would love to hear about that. I have another one. I think this one will be trickier for our audience, but it's fancy and I really like it. It's called 5-HTP, and that's short for L5-hydroxytryptophan. Not so difficult in the end. But let's try to explain it for the audience. So bear with us. I will first explain it scientifically and then break it down. So 5-HTP is something that is produced from tryptophan, and this is an essential amino acid. That essential amino acid is used as a precursor of serotonin. So it means it helps produce serotonin. That's what the precursor means. And what serotonin is it's a neurotransmitter involved in your brain activity in terms of mood, cognition, learning, memory, sleep, all of these things we put on the slides. It's really more complicated. It has many cognitive properties. Sleep is one of them, but they all work together to give you that final effect. And a neurotransmitter is really, a signaling molecule that helps transmit information so that you get that effect at the end. So in short terms, if we didn't lose the audience by now, 5-HTP works through a cascade of mechanisms to get you to that really beautiful effect on cognition, learning, mood, sleep. It's all in there, but sleep is really key. And another reason why it's key is because serotonin that I mentioned, that 5-HTP helps produce, is further transformed, could be transformed to melatonin which is, I'm sure the audience has heard something used in sleep. There's, you know, what melatonin used to enhance sleep, falling asleep, and so on. So what 5-HTP does to production of serotonin is enhancing melatonin production, and that is the hormone which is primarily involved in our sleep cycles, in regulation of sleep. So in other words, it helps you improve your sleep quality. If we have to put it in a few words, it's very scientific, but it's there, and it's another example of using emerging science. So we have, again, something complementing by these two, a complementing mechanism by these two ingredients. Chamomile is something that we use from, you know, natural herbal supplementation and so on, and then 5-HTP is something more emerging, and we're just, it's fantastic that we can combine them, or, you know, have that enhanced effect.
Yes, and one of the reasons why the 5-HTP is so interesting is that studies demonstrated that it might increase the time spent in slow wave sleep phase. That is the deep, you know, part of our sleep, and that explains why it is so powerful and so important, and also can regulate the circadian cycles that are vital for our well-being. So two simple things can change life.
Absolutely. I see there was a question on weight loss, mood, and energy back on the previous slide. Can they be used in the same tablet? Well, yes, if you select these three concerns, if you go through the survey and you select these three concerns as your primary concerns, then of course, that's how the personalized nutrition works with the dailies. You will get a personalized solution that will target these three areas. Just for the sake of time, I see that we are doing great, but we are maybe taking a lot of time to explain the slides, which I'm sure that people love, but I also don't want to you know, to go a lot over time. So let's go to focus, and we try again to tackle some questions in the chat. I think we're having a great discussion, so I hope you guys are enjoying it online.
Here we go with the ginkgo biloba. That's a magical tree. It's a prehistorical tree, and it's still here. And it's really powerful, has therapeutic properties, and it's commonly used to alleviate symptoms like everything that is age-related, cognitive problems, of course. And it also has a role in the modulation of cholinergic system that is very important for the cognitive process, like working memory. So that means good cognitive and memory performance. It also increases a lot of blood flow. So this is why it's so important for the health of the brain, especially when we get older. And you know, Svilena, the ginkgo biloba is the only tree that survived to the nuclear bombing in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So that's
no
why
coincidence. Yeah.
yes, it is the symbol of resilience. So
yes,
very. It also acts on stress and anxiety that, of course, can you know, can influence our you know, ability to stay focused and be active.
Absolutely.
Very, very interesting. I love this plant.
I've used it, and it's just great. I'm really surprised by the effect you feel. It doesn't take a long time to really do a great,
really active effect. Really
very. And then when we talk about cognition, I think that iron deserves a place here. That's why we've put it in this presentation. Iron is something everybody's heard of, and it has many properties, not only on cognition, but I think it deserves a place here because it's something very essential in cognition and cognitive performance. And with many of, you know, vitamins and minerals and the way their effects were discovered on our body, With iron, it was the same. It was through deficiency. That's how people understood how important it was by looking at deficiencies. And those studies started with looking at people who are deficient in iron, and they noticed that it really impairs attention, memory, intelligence to the point that, you would see a decline in cognitive performance, behavior. So it really plays a very, very central role in cognition and maintaining also the high metabolic requirements of our brain. As you all know, brain also uses energy. Everything in the body uses energy, and brain is not, an exception. So it really, that's the mechanism through which it supports that cognitive performance. And as I said, supplementation not only improves, that neuronal function and to give you the energy of the brain, but later on through that activity gives you that end result of focus, memory, attention. So I think iron really, really deserves a place here. Very well studied and proven for its efficacy.
That's also very important into the myelinization of the nerve cell.
Yes.
And really that gives the efficient transmissions of neural signals, and so you are quicker processing thoughts and actions. So iron is unbelievable. It's really important.
Absolutely.
And also transport oxygen to the brain by hemoglobin. So wow, many things.
No, as always, science. Okay, moving on to bones and joints, just for the purpose of time, I see that we are getting there. So we try with Dr. Daniela to wrap it up. It's science, so we get a bit into it. So it's easy to get to lose track of time. But okay, so bones and joint, let's go through this.
Okay, vitamin K2, that's a liposoluble vitamin, and obviously very important for the bone health. It is crucial as a coenzyme because it guarantees the structure and the normal function of the bone matrix. The supplementation is used always usually to manage bone resorption that is causes age-dependent bone breakdown, so very important. And it is also crucial to prevent bone diseases, particularly to decrease fractures due to osteoporosis. It is important because also it directs calcium inside the bones, avoiding dangerous deposits in soft tissues that might be dangerous. So very important, the vitamin K2.
Yes, and I think here it's quite straightforward. Vitamin D is also the same. I mean, it also, as you said, Dr. Daniela, with vitamin K, vitamin D also helps that calcium absorption into the bone. Calcium is, super vital to producing bone tissue, and it has a similar effect. It's really great for increasing what we call bone mineral density, so the density of the bones. And it also, as I said, there is no single ingredient that has one single action. So it's also very important for the immune system. And as we mentioned at the beginning of the call, that's how joints are tackled, because here we're talking about bones and joints. So we have one mechanism acting on bones, but when we talk about joints, that's mostly through anti-inflammatory properties, and vitamin D also has been studied for its effect on the immune system. So really two great ingredients. Moving to beauty, and I think this is our last component today, the 8th concern. We're going to be talking about bamboo and hyaluronic acid.
Yeah, bamboo stem. Bamboo stem contains silica, that is a trace mineral that is essential for the collagen production and also for the strength of the tissues. And silica is fundamental also for the hair, beautiful skin, strong nails, but also joints and the wellness, overall wellness. Because as we age, unfortunately, we need more silica because we don't have enough. that is why the supplementation is really needed. Besides the silica, it's important to have optimal synthesis of collagen and also to activate the hydrolyzation enzymes. And this, of course, is very useful to improve skin strength and also elasticity. And also it has antioxidant properties. So very, very, and it is also anti-inflammatory. So bamboo stem is really,
There we go.
really great component for the beauty.
Yes, and something that maybe came a bit later on, maybe not really emerging from the very beginning of beauty care and so on, but something that is really increasing more attention in science and beauty care. For hyaluronic acid, I think everybody should be familiar. It's a star in beauty care. But why does it work? That's the purpose of our call. It works because it holds 1,000 times its weight in water. So in other words, it holds onto water so that you can gain that moisture, so you can get that hydration in your skin. And as we know, as we age, we lose skin elasticity, we lose the moisture, we lose the volume. So really, that's how hyaluronic acid works. We all know it works, but that's the reason why. And it not only hydrates your skin, but it has, people report having, that plump, very, very nice look, complexion. So it has really an overall very, very beautiful effect on skin, beyond hydration. So I see there are questions in the chat, but I also see that we've taken our time with Dr. Daniela to go through the science. So we hope you're finding it really interesting. But for the purpose of keeping, sticking to the time, please send us. I will tell you where to send you all your beautiful questions at the end, as we won't have the time to cover all of them. But we have this, last slide to really talk about before we wrap up, why personalized nutrition, because we spoke about daily rituals, we spoke about the science behind them, but what is, the beauty of why personalized nutrition? I think that's important for us also to mention in general.
Well, numbers say it clear. 73% of consumers report feeling noticeable improvement after switching to personalized solution. That's really, easy to think why this happens. And 86% says that this helps to stay consistent. And this is because it works, but also because it is something that has been created for their needs, and that's important. And also 67% says don't like one-fits-all solutions. And if I have to tell the truth, as Vilena, in my 25 years experience, I would say 100% people don't like one-fits-all solution, and 100% persons love to have something that meets their needs. So it's something that needs that someone care for their needs, and this is why it works. So I always sustain that it is important that every person has his own solution. And that's why the daily care, the daily solution is unbelievable, is very useful.
Absolutely, and also not only because it sounds great, you personalized nutrition, yes, it's personalized, but because with this science, it works for you. That's where medicine and everything is going towards. Nutrition in general, we talk about holistic nutrition, we talk about personalized nutrition. These are really directions in science that are making sense of how things work, and really things work differently for people. And it would be lovely to have one solution for everybody, but it not only works, and these statistics are showing that people relate to this and they actually see the results, but it's what science says, and the direction that we are going into is just not as simple as what people once thought. Okay, I think we've had a beautiful, wow, 1 hour of great discussions. I hope you all enjoyed it. As I said, because we went over time, which we are really happy to do for you, and we've had a lot of fun, I think, with Dr. Daniela talking about these ingredients and everything, the science, the dailies, why they're so special. I hope you got a bit of a feeling. And if we didn't have the time to cover any of your questions, or you have more after the call, here are, the resources you can use. Please visit our website, see the survey, explore, explore, have fun, and also send any questions that you might have and we didn't cover in the chat to our nutritionist mailbox. So we can also take care of that. So I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and feedback through our nutritionist mailbox. And I would like to thank you again, Dr. Daniela, for being here and as our guest speaker. And really, it's fantastic. Thank you for the experience that you bring, for the insights that you bring. And I really hope that our audience got to understand a bit how things work behind the scenes.
Thank you to you, Vilena, and thank you to everybody for being with us an hour.
Yes, thank you for being here at this hour, but we're always, willing to talk about science. So there's never, a perfect hour. There's just too little time to talk about science. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.